Good morning. My name is Vanessa, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the CA Cloud Service Management Community Webcast. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Thank you. I will now like to turn the call over to Ms. Crystal Maselli. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. We are really excited today to share some great news with you. You may already be aware, and hopefully you are, that as customers of our CA Nimsoft Service Desk tool, you've now got a whole bunch of new functionality available at your fingertips, and we've taken the opportunity to broadcast that we've evolved from the Service Desk to a true service management solution with a product name change. So today you're seeing a lot of activity. So we wanted to make sure that first and foremost we got in front of this audience and told you the news first. What we are excited about, what's available to you right now within your implementations of cloud service management. We want to give you a demonstration and then show you how you can get engaged in some of the cool stuff that we've put together to celebrate the launch of the release. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you a little bit about what you're going to see over the next several days and why we are so excited about it. I also want to introduce Mr. Rich Graves from Product Management. He's here with us on the line, and he'll be telling you a little bit of details about the product as well as giving you the live demonstration. So what we found by listening to you, by interacting with the market and with industry analysts, is that everyone is looking to save time. And so what we've really tried to do is focus our efforts on product improvements, on performance, on new functionality to enable time savings for 3 critical key personas. And those would be your business consumers who are accessing and looking for service from the CA Cloud Service Management tool, your power users who are granting those services and making sure that everything is being delivered on time and effectively and with the highest quality, and then the decision makers who are trying to make determinations about what services, how to staff to support those services, how to make sure that IT is really supporting the business. And what we found is that we have some really cool opportunities because of the way we've architected our solution to really provide some of the best capabilities in the market to be faster, to be more flexible, to deliver a powerful service management solution that's really personable and tailorable to meet everyone's individual needs. And so that's where we come out with CA Cloud Service Management and a host of new features that are available right now. And I'm going to let Rich Graves tell you a little bit about what's included.
Thank you, Crystal. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, so we're really excited about this release. I think to echo what Crystal said, really moving from a traditional service desk focused on, incident problem change and many of those related processes, excuse me, to adding a lot of other capabilities that really push us beyond just service desk into a full service management suite. Really the key thing first, and we break things into 3 key roles or personas that we focus on. The decision maker, which we're providing this new advanced reporting capability, which I'll show in just a minute, that provides a lot of ability to slice and dice data in just a simple way to get data out of the system. Next is power users. So these are really your analysts in your organization, the people that also administrators inside the tool who are using the system on a daily basis to perform their job or to do escalations or manage tickets. So we've added in discovery and asset management, fully integrated inside the tool. It's not an extra license or cost or separately integrated module. It's completely built on top of the Service Desk platform and infrastructure. Additionally, with that is discovery as well, and I'll talk about that. We also added in what I think is really unique in this space is hybrid automation. So it's not only automating workflows in the cloud as far as thinking about Amazon EC2, but also on-premise, thinking about VMware or other different tasks that you want to automate inside your on-premise environment. We continue to have core integration with Nimsoft Monitor, and Clarity, And then for the business consumer, that's the self-service user, we've added in some improvements there, especially around mobility and improving and updating the mobile interface, which we won't go into a lot of detail here today, but you can see through some of our YouTube demos and other things. And of course, if you're using the mobile app today, the update you got in early June connects to this new version as well. So one of the things we really try to focus on, and hopefully as you've seen different versions of Nimsoft Service Desk 7 and now CA Cloud Service Management come out, is really on a modern and intuitive user interface. So we really focus on customer experience, the UX, the user experience inside the tool, and we have a team focused directly on that of graphic designers and user researchers that we test and validate every single new feature from a design and usability perspective as we put it out. The catalog and the change calendar, what I'll show you brief in just in a minute here, really improved the visibility of these features, how to use these features, and interacting with them inside the tool. Additionally, on the reporting side, so we're calling it advanced reporting because it's a brand new reporting module, fully integrated in the tool. The standard reports, ad hoc reports continue to exist because we know many of the customers are still using those, but over time we expect people to migrate to this new advanced reporting solution. This really gives you some very nice visual dashboards that you can modify in a simple manner, add any reports that come out of the box to these dashboards, create any reports you want, add to these dashboards, and have a lot of nice flexibility there. But what I'll demonstrate is really on ad hoc reporting and how powerful and how easy that is to do. Next is on configuration, and the automation solution I think is really a game changer over the next few days as these different webcasts we're doing to advertise this launch. Industry analysts think this is really changing the way people do automation. The goal is not to require you to code or program or connect all these different wire diagrams of how if this happens, dump this field from this attribute over into this other field. It's much simpler than that. Our design was focused on an IT administrator who may not have any programming experience, and that's fine. There's no programming here. It's a matter of dragging and dropping, moving different connectors around, different operations around, and adding in your credentials. So it's a very simple approach to automation, and is very powerful as well. And additionally on that automation, we have these new automation console with these badges at the top that act as filters. I'll show you that. I think it makes a lot more sense when I'm demonstrating that. But it's a nice way to keep track of the success or failure of your automated workflows and how you can take a look at those, rerun them, fix them, and address them as appropriate. Next on the mobile interface side, so the mobile app has been updated, so if you go out to the Google Play or iTunes app stores today, you'll get this new version. If you have it already installed and you update it either automatically or manually, you'll get this new version. Number one, the look and feel has changed dramatically. With iOS 7 has a much flatter design from Apple, and most mobile apps are moving to this flat design, so we've updated to that. Added a lot more different colors, and as part of that, added some new functionality as well. You continue to be able to, as an end user, create a ticket, attach an image. If you're having a problem with a network printer or a problem with your PC, you can take a picture of that from your phone, attach your location using the GPS, use voice that all mobile devices support, and do a lot of nice things. And my favorite feature, as you can see on the the far bottom right there, is the call service desk button. In many cases, it's a lot easier to call the service desk. You open up the app, you hit a button, it knows your organization and what number to dial and dials that for you. So it's very helpful and focuses on simplicity again. So now I'm going to jump into the demonstration. If you do have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask them online in the online Q&A. You'll see that in WebEx. And we'll monitor that as we move forward. Additionally, one thing as I'm starting to share here, I do see a lot of customers on the line that are Nimsoft Service Desk 6 customers. And so let me open this here. And just to be aware, this release is something you can upgrade directly to. In the next probably 3 to 4 weeks, we're rolling out staging systems, which are essentially test systems created from your existing environment on this new release. So then you have a chance to validate it, see how it looks and feels with your data in it, and then work with us at CA to schedule a production migration, which will, essentially copy the full data from your production instance and roll it over into the new system. So that's something we will begin rolling out the staging systems in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then, starting in July, late July, we'll allow migrations for the bulk of our customers to start moving forward. But we certainly want you to test and validate that you're comfortable with this release. There's a lot of new things, and that certainly requires training and preparing in your environment. So I'm now logged into the solution, and Crystal, can you confirm that you can see my desktop?
I can, yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm logged into this latest release, and the first thing, I'm not going to go through sort of a structured role-based demo. I'm just going to focus on what's new, because I think everyone on this call, I know, looked through the attendees, knows how to open up a ticket, knows how to use workflow actions. So I'm going to focus on what's new and give you the information you need sort of that's most important. So I'm an administrator, and when a new administrator logs in, when they first log into the solution, they'll see this sidekick. They'll get a pop-up and say, do you want to walk through the sidekick? The sidekick is essentially our way to give a new administrator, whether that's brand new system, empty system, or someone that's just added to the team as an administrator and has this role and privilege, gives them a tour of the application, so a guided tour. They walk through each one of these steps, step by step. But it also gives them a guided setup of the system. So, we even analyzed from working with our services team, working with existing customers, what are the critical things that you want to accomplish in the first hour, hour and a half inside the tool, so you can immediately start getting value from the system, so that it's not, weeks of setup. In the first hour, you can, load your organizations, add your users, download the key on-premise components you need to do automation, to do discovery. So if you do, go to any one of these steps in here, so I've clicked on, create organizations. It's first giving you a tour of the application, so it's showing me step by step. Here's how the organization screen is structured. Here's how to change my logo. Here's how to add, sibling or child nodes to this organization. And then certainly, how to save and do any of those changes. But at any point, I'm looking at my live information in the system. This is my system. So if I'm an administrator that just joined the team, I'm seeing my real data in the system. And at this point, I can interact with these screens. I can then, immediately go and add a sibling or a child organization, view the users, manipulate this information, and, progress in the system. So not only is it a guided tour, it's not, a static, like most mobile app screens where they're showing you screens and saying, do this, do this, do this, and the tour, then you have to go and find that screen and do those steps. This is actually going against your live screens, your live system, and you can at any point, stop and navigate through that. And then, you go through each one of these steps. So if I then want to go into add users, it jumps to the add user screen, explaining all those, and I can then add users as well. So it's a great way to get introduced to the application, as well as, start using it and actually progress through the application. So it's a great feature that we're really happy with. It's a great way to train people and get them up to speed and hopefully using the system live and integrated there. Well, you'll also notice at the bottom, each one of these steps has an in-context video. So this is a YouTube video that I could click, and I could just listen to the audio while I navigate around the screen. I could click the title bar here. It opens up in a new tab where I can expand and watch it full screen. So it's a nice way. These videos focus often on the value of, why would you set up organizations? What's the best way to set up your hierarchy? So it gives a more value-based overview rather than, the click-through, tour steps that it's showing you there. The next thing I want to show from a customer experience and improving the user experience is the request catalog. So the request catalog, if you saw earlier versions, was really just a long list that you could go through, but many organizations that we talk to have 50, 100, hundreds of catalog templates or ticket templates that they allow their analysts or their end users to access. So it just wasn't a great way to navigate through the list. So we did a lot of research and came up with trying to use more of the horizontal real estate of the screen and make it much more visual and easier to navigate for a user. So if I'm logged in as an analyst again, an admin, So the end user will see a more compressed view of this because it's aggregating a lot more information. But all the items I'm seeing are based on my permissions and my access in the system. So I'm only seeing things that I have rights to. So I can go through this carousel view, and these are the most common items requested by over the last 90 days in the organization, again, based on my role and my permissions. If I don't find what I'm looking for there, I can do a search in this catalog. I can sort them by different names or filter it by the actual category. What's also nice is if I hover over these, this is sort of a Netflix-style design. I get the key information I'm looking for here, and then if I'm ready to actually request it, seeing a hover over, I click, and then it opens up a ticket. And, of course, these are ticket templates, which pre-populate a lot of the data and, improve the routing and can improve the workflow actions to make it a much more seamless process. What I'll also show in just a minute is with our new automation solution, you can fully automate some of these ticket templates. If you wanted to, talking about requesting an Amazon instance here, this is an Amazon EC2 instance request, I could fully automate this entire process, not have IT involved at all, and the new automation solution triggers deployment to Amazon EC2, has the right credentials, can generate an email notification to the user with their login and password, and give them everything they need without an IT person ever touching this request. Of course, the ticket's there, everything is logged and tracked and automatically closed when it's done, so it's there for tracking purposes, and if something were to go wrong, you do have a ticket there. You could then also have steps in here for approval from a manager if necessary, or you could, again, just automate it fully. Additionally, on the usability and customer experience side, we also added a brand new calendar. If you remember, our previous calendar was really more of a report. It was very static, and we wanted something more visual that looked like Outlook, looked like Google Calendar, looked like these open source, web calendars that were out there. So this is what we created. So I'm looking at a monthly view here. All my changes that have been approved and scheduled are shown here, and they are color-coded based on the change type. So, of course, emergency is red, and normal is blue, and then a standard change is green. So I can hover over any of these, see the key details, click this arrow if I wanted to drill down into the full change request and see all the details. I do also have the ability to, look at a week view, look at a day view, and it's a great way to view conflicts inside the system. Additionally, there's a nice feature on searching. So if I search, I'm searching for WebEx. I know there's a WebEx event over here. It highlights only the changes that have that search, but it leaves the other changes there because it's a way to view conflicts and to see what else is going on in the organization at that time without sort of highlighting them here. So I have the two that have WebEx. And you can see on the left-hand side, there's highlighting in yellow and showing where there are search results based on those dates and those search parameters. Okay. The next thing I'll show is on asset management. So asset management, the Asset Center is a brand new module that we added. Again, it's fully integrated, completely built to the ground up on top of our same architecture and same platform. The goal here is to really integrate, asset management into the service desk processes. So connecting it to the CMDB, connecting it to the ticketing processes, so being able to associate assets with incidents or problems or changes or requests to be able to have that there. And you'll see the top, these badges are a new design for many of our workspaces. You'll see this in many today and many more as we move forward. They act as almost like a quick dashboard, a quick metric. So I know, immediately when I log in here that I have 223 discovered assets, 61 assets that are virtual and 189 that are physical. These also act as filters. So if I click on any of these, the list below, you'll see a change here, and you'll see that that list is now filtered to show, active assets that are discovered. I can also, click these and change the filter. I can clear all my filters, and what's also nice is any of these metrics on the right-hand side also act as filters. So if I did want to just see, models that or assets that are Dell Latitude physical assets, I can then filter that list, and everything is shown in my filter here. You'll also notice we really revamped the filter completely. It's a nice way to do things, and the fact that you can see what you're filtering on and modify it directly and have the list automatically refresh is a very powerful feature. Additionally, we have included in the asset management module the discovery tool. So we're really focused on discovering assets bringing them into our asset management repository, and then you have the ability to create them as configuration items, link them to configuration items, and have a nice association there. So we come out of the box with this native discovery tool, which is built on top of utilizes a CA discovery tool that's been around for a while. It's an agentless discovery tool. You do need to download these two components in your environment that allow it to connect to the cloud, connect to Cloud Service Management, and be able to do that discovery. So you can set up your IP ranges, your credentials for all the different environments it supports, set up your schedule at the bottom here, and then essentially run. So you do all the configuration in the cloud, but you have those on-premise components that it communicates with. If you are using other discovery tools today and you want to continue to use those, certainly we understand people have an investment in other tools. We do support a number of other third-party and CA discovery tools. Altiris, our own CA client automation, two different versions there, Landesk, Microsoft SCCM. And then if you do have another discovery tool or maybe something homegrown, you can do the other, which is essentially more of a CSV mapping style import. So you do have a lot of flexibility there, whether you want to use our native one or an additional discovery tool. And the native discovery tool is concluded. It's part of the core product and nothing extra there. Next, I'll walk through Automation Center. So Automation Center is, again, a brand new module that focuses on automating cloud and on-premise workflows. There is, it comes out of the box. There's some limitations on how many workflows and how many external systems you can connect to, but those are, you get the solution and it's included out of the box, and we can talk more about if you do need more than that, but for most customers, it's more than enough included with the standard license. So what I'm showing here is the automation console, which really is if I'm someone that's monitoring the health or success or failure of automation workflows, I can go in here and check that, and you can see this is my own test system, so we have a lot of things that we're playing around with, and some failed, some completed there. But the real value of automation is in creating these simple workflows. So I'll call it an asset. So I'm going to create this workflow, and here's the real value, and what we think is we're creating something very simple and easy to use, is really in the Design Studio. So the Design Studio comes out of the box with these several different connectors here, and we'll continue adding these as we go. And these connectors allow you to connect to, CA, a third-party system, and then run different operations. And those operations are essentially steps in a workflow. So in this example, I'll just say that we want to automate creating a new VM instance, a VMware virtual machine, in our on-premise environment, but also being able to track that from the asset management perspective. We don't want all these VMs to be created and not have any sort of tracking mechanism or not have an asset created for it. So if there are problems later, that we can manage it. So I'm going to click the VM create connector. After we create it, I know we want to create an asset for it in Cloud Service Management, so I'll add that connector. I want to update the ticket later, so I'm going to use the Cloud Service Management connector. Let's just say I want to send an email, and then we'll add in a wait connector, a delay on there. So at a high level, I just created, essentially the connectors, and now I'm going to go in and select an operation and the credentials to actually perform these things. Well, I do know that I put these in the wrong order, so I'm just going to move my wait connector, and I'll move this email one around here too. So again, the steps I want to perform, if I expand this, my first step was to this VM create connector, so we'll call it create VM. Then I'm going to select my operation. So the operation is all of the complex tasks that exist in the VMware API. We front-ended those and tried to make those as simple as possible. So you're selecting from a list, popping in your credentials, and then moving on to the next step. So at this point, I know I want to create a virtual machine. I have several other options to choose from. And then the next step, in a real environment, you already have your credentials set up, and you just select your VMware credentials. But I could, if I didn't have them already, I could go in and create my VM credentials. They're created in a secure database, an encryption vault. So we have this credential vault that they are encrypted, and you can basically say it's encrypted in the interface, meaning you can't see it at all, the credentials, or you could display it actually in the interface. But you'd select your credentials, put those in here, and then hit apply and move on to the next task. Well, the next task I wanted to do using this Cloud Service Management Task Connector is create an asset. So I have an option to create an asset, so I can take the information about that virtual machine when it's returned, and then create an asset in the service management environment that I can then manage, attach to a ticket, and go further from there. My next task, I could just send an email to the user and let them know, the credentials for their VM system. I just put in a delay just because it looks nice from this example, but in many cases I may need a delay of a few minutes after some of these operations occur. And the last thing I want to do is actually update the request. So if you imagine this is actually coming from that catalog that I showed you before, a user, maybe in a development team or the IT team has access to this request. They click on that, they're going to probably enter some details, and at this point, I want to go back and update that service request. So maybe I'm closing it out, maybe I'm adding a work log to say, these are the details of the VM, and move forward from there. So the next thing I could do at this point is the next step in this workflow process is mapping the data. So certainly from this perspective, I'm going to get details back from this create virtual machine that I want to put into the asset, so it's a matter of mapping those fields. I'm not going to go into the details there, but then the last step I do is publish. So I have the ability, if I wanted to, if this is a frequent task that more of the automation team is going to run, I can do that directly in this interface. I could go to this workflow library, and I can click and I can run these workflows. I also have the ability to publish this to the catalog, so then it immediately is creating an item in the catalog. I can permission it there, I can add in approvers there, and immediately publish that to the catalog. So the goal is you're creating workflows that can be fully automated and publishing them to the catalog and have those either end-user facing or analyst facing inside the environment. So it's a great way to really create a lot of automation in the environment. And you do also have Amazon EC2 connector, a Clarity connector, and some more VMware connectors, because there's certainly a lot of other operations you can include in VMware. There's just so many. And in Clarity, you can do some nice things as well for creating ideas, creating projects, creating tasks, if you wanted to do those types of things from here from an automation perspective. So in the future, we're working on adding a lot more connectors in, so you can connect to your own on-premise systems that may be custom application, a third-party application via SSH or web services, as well as different LDAP connectors to do things like create accounts, manage inboxes, and a lot of different things you can do there. So the next thing I'll show is advanced reporting. So again, the existing reporting functionality, standard reports, ad hoc reports, dashboards, really what we're almost terming legacy in a perspective, those are still supported, those will continue forward, but we do encourage users to start playing around with advanced reporting, and if they're going to create new reports, certainly do them there. So the first thing I'll show is a dashboard. So this is one of the out-of-the-box dashboards. As you can see, it opens up in a brand new window. And from this perspective, the design of dashboards is often you may want to show it on a different monitor on your machine. You may want to show it inside a call center on the big screen or a network operations center. So you have these dashboards. You can have them refresh on a different recurring rate. You can easily, I'm interacting with a live dashboard, change the time series. I can change the chart types without affecting, the dashboard if I were to run it again. I also have the ability to go in and edit that dashboard. So if I go in and, edit that dashboard, I can then, at this point, I can move the dashboards around, change the scale or the resolution of these dashboards depending on the type of machine I'm going to put it on, delete a report, move a new report on. So there's some really nice features here to be able to do some nice things from a managing perspective. Let's say I don't have enough data in my system to show this, my demo system here to show this backlog report, so I could, I can bring in this tickets closed by group report, move that around, add in different reports, and I do have also the option of, changing the resolution depending on what kind of screen it's ideally going to be shown on. Okay. What I think the real value of the new advanced reporting capability is what we call ad hoc views. So ad hoc views are really, if you think about an ad hoc report, a view inside the system, it's a great way to get data out of the system. So if I'm going to a meeting and my manager asks me to, show me, tickets grouped by priority over the last 30 days, I can easily get that information out of the system. So if you notice there, I went in and I first selected tickets. I now see all the attributes of a ticket, the ones that are common and the ones that are specific to the different ticket types. So from here, I just want to create a very simple report. Ticket ID, I want the priority, I want created date, let's say category, the status, and I'll also grab the description. So I grabbed all those fields, and you can see what's really nice, and one of my favorite features is as I'm building the report, I see real data from my system actually shown here. So I know immediately, maybe I grabbed the wrong field. I really wanted details and not description. So I can find that out very quickly. Additionally, I do have the ability to move things around. If I wanted to move status here, I can move that around. And the data that's showing here is what we call sample data. It is real data from your system, but it's pulling back essentially the first 15 records. So it's not, crushing your system with a long-running query here just as you're building something, and it's showing you the first 15 records, which allows you to quickly create a report, and then at that point, see the full results. I can also group this by priority, so I see my priority tickets grouped together. And I also want to set up a filter. So on the right-hand side, I can set up my filters. So I'm going to grab my created dates, pull that over here. And again, my manager is asking for tickets created over the last 30 days. I could select, what was 30 days ago, the actual date. But what I find much easier is to do the relative timestamp, so I don't have to do the math, excuse me. So I'm going to say days. The time period is days. I could pick weeks, months, quarters, semi-years, years. So I'm going to take days minus 30. So that always calculates the current day minus 30 days is where I'm going to start. And so each time I were to rerun this actual report, if I save this off and schedule it, it's always going to pull, at the time it runs, minus 30 is the data it's pulling for this created date field. So if I hit apply here, you'll see how those dates change. Okay, so now it updates it. I'm not seeing something for May 6th anymore. I'm seeing more up-to-date data. So at this point, if this is all I needed, if I just needed this information, I could then do a full data, which is then running the real report. You'll see a lot more data here. At this point, if I needed to run to my meeting, I could click this export. I could dump it into a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet or any of these other formats, and run to my meeting with the data that I needed. I also have the ability at this point to save it as an ad hoc view, which essentially, if you think about what a database view is, it's something that I can reuse. I can run this thing again. I can run reports on top of this, and get all the filters and get the data and reports. And I can also create a report. And when I save a report, the nice thing about the report is I can use it on my dashboards. I can schedule it on a reoccurring basis to be emailed out, sent out, run in the system. So it gives a lot of nice flexibility to the user. So I have a lot of nice options there. But what I want to do also is I want to just delete all these fields and create one more report just to give you a sense of, and I'm going to quickly for my fields to refresh. So just to show, also, obviously this is just a table, very useful for getting information out of the system. But if I wanted to do a chart, again, I want to see the tickets over the last 30 days, again, grouped by priority in a pie chart or a trend chart. So I'm going to open up my measures here at the bottom, and I have my ticket count, so I'll add ticket count in. Okay, not very useful at this point. I just know that over the last 30 days I've had 80 tickets, but I want to group that by priority. So if I grab my priority from this perspective, I'm going to show how many rows I want to select here. So then I have, you know, a bar diagram here of the number of tickets over the last 30 days by a priority. But that's obviously much more useful if it was grouped together in a pie chart. So I'll select my pie chart, and I immediately have much more usable, you know, readable data here. I can see that at medium priority I had 69 tickets, low 11, 2 high, and 1 that had none. So that gives me a much more better perspective, and obviously, you know, more volume I had, you know, see more data here. So if I do want, I'll just change it to 60 days to see more data. Apply my filter. And then you obviously see now I have more data there, slightly more, okay? But what if I want to see this over more of a time series? I want to see how this data changed. And with many of these, you know, the type of chart you choose certainly puts limits on how you represent the data. So I want to look at created date. So I will change it to, I'll change my chart type to a stacked bar. And I want to go by created date and move my priority up here, because now I want my columns to be priority. So from this perspective, what I just changed now, I'm looking at every single day over the last 60 days, how many tickets are coming into the system, and then stacked by priority. So it's a great way to show, you know, volume over time. And then, you know, what might be more useful is if I change the chart type, I can look at it to, I'll look at a stacked area. So that's a nice way to represent the data. And, you know, you can do different line charts as well, if that's more helpful, or different time series as well. So there's a lot of different ways you can represent the data based on what you're looking for, and these are, once you get the hang of it, are very easy to do. I think doing the basic reporting, what I just showed, dragging and dropping columns, you know, you can figure that out and playing in the system for 10 to 20 minutes. The charts do take a little more time because you do have to understand, you know, what columns and rows are. But certainly we do have a lot of YouTube videos, and there's a lot of help online to be able to find this information. Okay. So I will jump out of the demo there and certainly take any questions that we have in the WebEx. And I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you so much. So yeah, we definitely want to open it up for questions at the end. We have 5 questions, and for those of you who are asking questions on the web, we'll get to those as well. But definitely, if you've got any questions while we have product management on the line, we definitely want to give you that opportunity to ask those, because a lot of excitement that we obviously have, and we want to make sure we're sharing it with you. You know, as Rich mentioned, you can get to the to details about the capability at the CA Wiki at wiki.ca.com. Another big thing that we are making available as part of this product launch is the new user community. And so I don't know if you have an opportunity to go out and explore this yet, but it is live. It's available to you right now. And there's a lot of great information that tells you about what's now available in the product. And then also some tools I think that you might find valuable, including links to little demonstrations and education so that you can sort of see in more detail and at your own speed what more you can do with the Cloud Service Management solution. There's also links to some things that are sort of our gifts to you. So we do a lot of thought leadership activities, white papers. We provide analyst research, and we get speakers, Luminary speakers that we make available to you guys as just part of you know, our relationship with you guys, making sure you're getting the most up-to-date information on market trends and that sort of thing. There is actually a series that we're starting this week. We'd love to have you participate in that on our Bright Talk channel. So if you go out and visit the CA Service Management Insights channel on Bright Talk, you can see, for example, that today you can go and listen to Gerard Green, who is the premier IT service management analyst at Gartner. And he'll be talking about the rise of the business consumer and how you can really start to service those business users more effectively with service management. And then we have another one on Wednesday with Forrester. It's Amy DeMartine, who's the Premier Service Management Analyst over at Forrester, and she'll be talking about how you can really set the service desk on fire by changing your mindset a little bit to really focus on internal and external customers. And then actually on Thursday, the 19th, we have another opportunity for you guys to hear from each other. So, beyond having these types of discussions that we have with end-of-sprint demos or, these community opportunities that you have for discussion threads within that new user community, we also have, sometimes we get customers to come together and have sort of a panel discussion where you can ask questions, see how are they doing things, how are they being effective, and what's their experience of the new functionality if they've got a sneak preview. And you have some chances to interact with each other. We'd love for you to do that. And then finally, we have a Twitter chat that's taking place next week, and we would love for you to have an opportunity to engage directly with some luminaries and experts and your peers by just discussing, what are you seeing with SaaS and service management, and how are you getting the benefits, or, what challenges do you face? So Rob Stroud will be leading that, but we'll have all kinds of people joining in the discussion. All you have to do is just follow CloudSM hashtag, or you can follow TechViews on Twitter, and you can get information about that event. And you just kind of, at the time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern on the 24th, you just start joining in the conversation. You'll see questions pop up following that hashtag and that user ID, and you can just start participating right in and jump in the conversation. Also follow CloudSM has a hashtag throughout this week, and you'll see additional things. We've got some really cute videos and cartoons I think that you might find amusing, but we've also got some links to some articles that I think would be of interest to you. And there's a lot of new research coming out from the analyst groups like Gartner and Forrester and IDC and EMA. And as we get that information in, very, very often what we like to do is license those pieces of research and make them available to you guys at no charge. So following that hashtag is a great way to get some freebies. So at this point, I do want to open it up for questions. So for the operator, if you wouldn't mind seeing if we have any questions on the line, and we'll check the Q&A roster here on the WebEx as well.
At this time, I would like to remind everyone, if you would like to ask a question, press *1 on your telephone keypad. We will pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster. Again, to ask an audio question, press *1 on your telephone keypad.
Okay, so there is a question in the line. Let's see, are there limitations on the discovery tools as to what it will find? Examples, IP phones, routers, switches, different operating systems. Rich, can you take that one?
Yeah, I'm actually looking into it right now and seeing if there are any limitations. I know the discovery tool is meant to discover any network devices. I don't know if there's a limitation on IP phones, but it certainly does discover router switches, and it will discover different operating systems, Windows, Linux, et cetera, based on credentials on your environment. You certainly do have to create a unique credential for each one of those environments, essentially your admin credential that can perform these discovery operations. So I correct myself there. So I got the final answer. So it is meant to discover PCs, desktops, laptops, servers. It is not discovering network devices at this point. I apologize for that confusion. But it will discover multiple OSs.
Okay, great. We have a question in from the line of Christy Aguilar. Is this available in preview?
Good question. So this release went live about 2 weeks ago to all of our customers based out of our North America data center, which is typically customers in U.S., Canada, Mexico, Latin America, and South America. So all those customers that were previously on, Nimsoft Service Desk 7 SaaS are live in production today. Our customers in our European data center, they will be getting what's called staging environments today, or yesterday actually, those all went live. So they'll have staging environments that they can access and see their live, data in the new release, and production rollout will happen early in July. For our customers in our Australia data center, for our APJ customers, the rollout will begin in mid-July, and they'll be upgraded then. If you are using NSD 6, the previous version, we'll start rolling out what is referred to as staging systems over the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then customers will be able to start their actual production migrations, scheduling those in late July. If you're not familiar with that process, it's different from our existing NSD 7 SaaS customers who all get it all at once. It's a one-by-one, so each customer can select their preferred migration window and work with the CA team to make that happen. So because the change is so dramatic from 6 to 7, that's why we take it on a customer-by-customer basis, because certainly we expect you to be able to get used to the new release, train your people, make sure there's no surprises when moving to the new release.
And there's also another question: is there a demo environment available?
So again, for demo, if you're an existing NSD 6 customer, you'll get, essentially what we do is copy your production system and move it to what's called staging. And again, those will come out in the next 3 to 4 weeks for all existing NSD 6 SaaS customers. If you do want to go, we also have a trial system you can go to and access online. So if you go to CA.com and go to the Cloud Service Management page, you'll see, number one, a ton of videos and information there. But you could request a trial if that's something you're interested in, especially if you're brand new or still getting up to speed on Cloud Service Management.
Okay, and let's see, do we have any questions on the line at this time?
Again, if you would like to ask a question, press star 1 on your telephone keypad. There are no audio questions at this time.
Great. Okay, well then hopefully we were able to answer everything for you, but if we weren't, please join us on the user community. We would love to have an opportunity to answer your questions, to see you guys interact with each other, to share ideas about what you'd like to see next in the product. And as I mentioned, get an opportunity to get some of the great information from industry analysts and other luminaries in the space. And please do participate in the Twitter chat. I think it's a great time to kind of get together in an informal way, have a quick conversation. And it's always nice to be able to leverage social media to do that. We also would love for you to take a moment to rate today's topic. Within the WebEx, there's a poll question. Let us know what you think. And, if you have any comments about what you'd like to see in future webcasts, please share that with us as well. We'd love to hear from you. But at this time, I'm just going to thank Rich Graves for participating, as well as for all of you guys for joining us today. And we look forward to talking to you again.
This does conclude today's conference call. You may now disconnect.